Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we are live every single stinking morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. We love being here. We love having new guests every single day that we can interview and learn new resources from. And then also, of course, just like normal, we have a good news story for you. We have holidays today, and we'll have some great discussion around our weekly theme. It is Thursday, February 10th. And we are so excited to get into the start of this incredible day. So as you go fill up your coffee, maybe you're in the midst of picking out your outfit for the day, feel free to be active in the comments. Or if you're listening to this after the fact, we are thrilled that you're here and we'd still love to hear from you. So do not just be a consumer. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, February 10th. We have Rob with us. Rob, how you feeling this morning?
Awesome. I was excited to wake up and do this with you. Don't drink coffee, so I had to find other things to get excited about this morning.
I love it. No, it's better to not drink coffee. I was telling our network on Monday that I am out of coffee. And so I will tell you, I don't consider what's in this cup coffee. It tastes like watered dirt. So I think that you're in the clear right now. Maybe a glass of water would have been a better decision.
Yeah, my wife would love me to drink coffee. There's something romantic about sitting back and having a coffee. So when I come out with my protein shake, she just shakes her head every time.
Well, is it the protein shake that has like the shaker in it so you can like make a lot of noise, or is it just like, with a straw maybe? What kind of
No, yeah, the one with the shaker in it. I just find like it settles my hunger. I'm always hungry. So
Mm.
like if I have that in the morning, it just kind of takes that down. But I just drink it with water and protein. So it's kind of like I think the average person who tastes it wouldn't drink it, but you just get used to things, right? So
Yeah. No, maybe you need to throw it like in a big mug so she can feel like, every so
yeah.
often for that romantic morning together. You can be like, "No, look, honey, I'm drinking out of a mug. It's so romantic."
Yeah, I think I should try that. That's a good idea. I just need a huge mug.
There you go. We'll get a big Teach Better one. Maybe that will help. It'll be
Oh
great.
yeah, let's go for it. I'll buy it for
Rob,
sure.
oh, it'll be great. Rob, I really appreciate you being here. I know it's bright and early for you, but with us being here on the Daily Drop-In every morning, we love to be able to invite new faces and introduce different people to our network. I know you're very connected to our network already, but for people who may not know about you or what you do, will you share a little bit about your background in education?
For sure. I'm currently on the learning like technology consultant for a school board, which has been pretty crazy. Just because with remote learning came in, it was nuts because you're just getting a whole board up, and unfortunately we don't supply teachers right now. So we're actually covering classes. So I'm waiting on an email to know where I'm going to teach in the board. But it's nice to be able to help out. But previous to being the technology consultant, I was a grade 8 teacher. Elementary. So yeah, that's good. And I've also took up the passion of like writing a book. So I published a book called Strive for Happiness in Education, just because I just feel that like the most powerful thing is a teacher loves to come to work every day. And I went through some struggles, and then result was coming out with that book and talking about it. So that's a bit about me.
I love it. Our theme this week has been really understanding, appreciating, and identifying the things we love. And so I knew that you were going to be such a great guest this week. I so appreciate that you're here because I think that your passion space, the work that you do to support educators, is so in line with not only the Teach Better mindset, but also just the specific theme this week for Daily Drop-In. So we'll get into that in just a bit, but I think that it's going to be a perfect segue.
Awesome.
So with the day-to-day work that you do, obviously you're subbing into classrooms. What have you found to be kind of the highlight of that experience? I know it's probably stressful to not know what you're going to be teaching every day and to not necessarily be working with the same kids every day. I think a few teachers would find that like not like nauseating.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest with you, the beginning when it happened, it was very tough. Like it was just mentally tough to get my head around. Like 20 years, I literally went back 20 years to my start, and I was frustrated with it. And I was walking into the classroom frustrated. I'm gonna be. I don't try to sugarcoat things. I was really frustrated, so I was walking in with an attitude of frustration, and it wasn't going well. Like I got chewed up by a couple classes, and I was like, "How is this happening with all this experience?" And then I realized it was my mindset. I didn't have the right mindset. So a lot of my ideas come in the shower for some random reason. I have a whiteboard in my shower that I write on. And I was showering. I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? Why don't I just go in and kill this? Like, why don't I go in and try to do my best? And the minute I flipped that switch, I remembered all about what I loved about being in the classroom, specifically the kids and their faces lighting up. And I really decided to step into this. And now I actually look forward to it. I taught on Rotary Remote yesterday, and I was teaching like grade 1, grade 3, grade 8. Like I was teaching, I think I taught 7 classes, and just going in with energy and really caring about what those kids have to say. And you get it back though, right? All the little hearts popping up in teams, or the nice comments in the chat at the end of your class. So yeah, it's been an experience, but what I love about life, I think, is like you're continually learning lessons. Like even with regards to me, where I think like I've done a lot of research and thinking around happiness, it's easy to slip, and then there's always more lessons to learn. So I learned a big one in the last couple of months. So when that phone buzzes, I just look at it and I think there's kids in that classroom that deserve a quality, meaningful day with like an energetic person who cares about them and loves them. And for me to get to be that person in all these different areas, let's do it every day. I'll do it till the system gets back to normal, and then we'll go back to what I normally do. But this has been a nice break now.
I really appreciate you identifying the difference between the mindset that you can carry and the impact that you can have. I think, as every educator, we've all been experiencing it. It's been an impossible, seemingly impossible last few years. And the reminder that we have control over some component of our day is actually an exponentially important reminder. I think a lot of educators, have so far and occasionally will feel stuck, and as if they don't have power to impact the students, or to have the impact that at least they hope to have. And I think that your identification, that mindset can actually have a drastic influence, is a really powerful reminder this morning, Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Very
And
late.
not only just like affecting yourself and how you're feeling about it, but affecting the quality of the work you do. That's the biggest difference I noticed. Is I go in, and before, when I was upset, I would just look at the day plans and just try and get through period to period, just settle for whatever was left now. And now I'm going in and being like, how do I amp this up? Like I've got like 3 minutes before class. What am I going to create that's going to bring this together? I actually had a day in the office, so I was like created this media literacy unit that I could do if nothing was left, because that's sometimes the reality of teacher gets sick and you go in and you've got 6 periods with nothing. So I created this whole media literacy thing that go 4 to 8. I'm creating an SEL thing, primary, just so when I get in those situations, if I feel like the stuff that was left wasn't really going to engage those students, I go at it. And it's just, so I think it's a win-win, right? I think when we have that mindset and we put our heads to doing it like effectively, knowing what we can do, and go in there and try and kind of, I like to say, crush it all the time. That's my thing, is I just want to crush it. And I think everyone wins, but at the end of the day, I drive home happier, and I have some great memories because of it.
So I have to ask, because I know so many of us have been subbing classrooms, and I mean, truly, in your situation, I met with a teacher yesterday that was telling me that they had a great day with their students, but then every single other class hour, like their plan period, their lunch, and everything else, they were substituting and supporting these other classrooms, which creates for a very, very long day. Do you have any tips and tricks on, like, you're introduced to a new classroom for the first time, you have, let's pretend, 45 minutes with them. Is there like an approach, maybe even a layout, that you feel like, ooh, if I do these 4 things, or these 2 or 3 different things, I really see success every time? Like, tell us the secret.
Yeah,
How do you feel
100%. I think I figured it out for myself. I don't like to think I know everything, because I think every situation is different. But when I was sitting there, the reality of the situation was I'd get an email, and half the time I'd be late, or I would show up right on time, just because we don't really know, because we do we have like all our supply teachers out, and then they call us. So we're not
right?
getting that call till like 8 something, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going in and I'm scrambling and I'm not doing those things that I normally would do to set things up for success. So I went in and I was like, I'm going to create like a really engaging introduction to myself. So I
Mhm.
met, like got some Bitmoji thing or whatever, and I introduced myself, and I also put in my goals and how we were going to get to the why and the how and all that. And we talked about that. But I think the thing that I did that really captured it is I created like it's like six true or false statements, and they're all about myself. And we play this game and I asked them to vote on is it true or false, and they're very engaging because they as soon as I go through these six, like one's like I was a world traveler, I'm not scared of sharks, I'm not scared of heights, I have a puppy named Mitch, and but I wrote a book is one of them. And then when they see it, because I've had before education, before I was in education, I was a personal trainer for a multimillionaire, and I used to travel around the world, and I've been everywhere, and then I've been shark diving and jumping out of planes. I was a bit of an adrenaline junkie for a while, and so I created this thing. So at the end of it, they're kind of hanging on, like the shark diving one's the big one sometimes, and it's just like, hey, listen, if we can have a crazy awesome day, if we can get through what we need to do, if we can crush what we need to crush, then I'll tell you this crazy story. And then in the slideshow, I've got like pictures from the travels, and I just try and interweave some personality in through it, and I can see like a change, especially remotely is very interesting because when you start off, it doesn't seem like there's much engagement. And then once you gain their respect and their understanding, and oddly enough, the other one I would say the two that have like the most is the fact that I wrote a book. You should see kids' faces when they actually realize you wrote a book and someone can buy it. It's incredible. Like I don't know. So like I think that to me was like going in and settling, because it sounds crazy because like I'll do large presentations all the places. It's like going into a classroom like where you're running behind, there's anxiety behind that. You're nervous, you're skipping things, you're not doing what you normally do, but you just need that. I find that like settling me down. I have this neat thing I think about when I do presentations or things like this is the idea of terminal velocity.
Mhm.
So when you jump out a plane, you accelerate for the first 7 seconds. And then if so, it feels like you're falling and you're going to die 100%, right? Like it just feels like this was the stupidest thing I ever did. Terminal velocity, when you hit it at 7 seconds, you transfer from like a feeling of falling to a feeling of floating. And that is actually one of the most peaceful times I've had in my life is when I got to that point where I was floating. And what I realized when even talking to you or doing a keynote or supply teaching is that if I can just get through the first 3 4 minutes and feel some success, eventually it just settles in and all the nerves dissipate, and then it's just like now it's time to do what I'm meant to do. And
Mhm.
I feel like as once I realized that it was more like excitement and nervousness and that it would fade, then I could totally get up there and know that everything was going to be fine.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to dig into, but when we look at that terminal velocity comparison of just needing to get through the first few seconds, right? Just needing to get through the first 3 minutes. I think every educator can relate to that. It's when you walk into a class and you're late and there's that anxiety and stress, you need to find the sub plans, where's the attendance sheet? It's all this chaos, and you're trying to establish yourself as the adult in the room, as the person that's going to essentially lead the class through some sort of experience facilitated learning opportunity. And I love that you're like, okay, I'm going to walk in. I just need to get through the first few minutes. I know that I'm going to have success once I hit that point, and then we're going to be in a good spot. That hopefulness, that approach, I think is really, really impactful. And when it comes to intentionally identifying what your first few minutes are going to be like, I have never thought to do this, but I am such a fan because you taking a few minutes isn't going to drastically impact the subplans on your page, but it really gives you right off the bat control. You know how to manage a situation. You've practiced this before. There's something that you can expect. I think that this is one of my favorite strategies that we have ever been able to provide to somebody walking into a classroom for the first time.
Yeah, one thing, Susan Daly, I know she writes for you and she's become a good friend of mine. we always talk about rational optimism, right? And it's like the idea of like you understand, you get the situation that's going on, but what can you do to help it to go in the direction and get to that positive space that you want to be? And that's what I started to think about with this is what can I control? Like so making this slideshow that took me an hour or something, and I had fun making it was something that gave me a little bit of control back. And it's like, what am I doing in that moment to get back to where I need to be, right? Like, because I was upset. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and a lot of my coworkers, we kind of felt the same. It's kind of like, oh, this is crazy. But like, once I took control back, and once and with the mindset that everything's gonna be good, everything's gonna be fine. I'll get through this. I'll be able to do it. It's changed everything. So that slideshow, absolute game changer. And then the other thing, like I didn't say too much, is like that bag of tricks, like that. I have like a bag of like, I don't know, like 500 multi-sided dice in my bag. I've got like different, like a media literacy lesson all photocopied and ready to go at any point. Like having those also drops anxiety, because if you go in and you know there's nothing there, you don't understand the plans, just knowing that you're like, I'm gonna. And the other thing is, you talk about your theme of like doing what you love. Those lessons are based on what I love, right? Those lessons are right in my wheelhouse. So at any point you can just jump into your wheelhouse and just start doing something you love with kids that you think is meaningful. Just having those couple pieces, it has changed everything.
Such good reminders so far, Rob. We're going to transition here perfectly. You set us up for our
Thanks.
brainstorming to continue to talk about this theme. So we'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. We are thrilled you are here, but trust me, you are late. We've had some great dialogues. If you are just popping in this morning, we do want to say good morning to you. And you definitely, at the end of the show, want to go back and listen to the first 16 seconds. There has been a lot of ideas and knowledge that Rob has provided, and I'm excited for that to continue. For many of you who have watched the show before, or if this is your first time this morning, good morning. We are in our Brainstorm Bank segment. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we actually get to do this segment at the very beginning of the show, like we are right now. And at the end, the other days, we do it at the end of the show. This is an intentional time where we're able to kind of pause and look out into our community this morning, wish you a wonderful day, and then ask you, hey, friends, do you need anything? Rob and I are here to brainstorm with you. We do not promise at all that we have the right, perfect solution for you, but we want every educator to feel like they have a brainstorm partner, regardless of what hurdle they are overcoming. So if you have something that you want to discuss, maybe something related to your morning routine, a struggle that you're having with students, a conflict that you're working through with a colleague or a member of your leadership team, or a lesson plan design flaw, we are here to talk through those ideas with you. Feel free to put those in the chat at any time. We would love to help in any way we can. This is also a section where we love to identify the theme for the week and continue that conversation, with which, Rob, you fully transitioned us perfectly with this, because our theme this week is discussing identifying the things that we love, our passion space. So, Rob, I know that we were touching on this as we were going, but it seems like there are a lot of things that you love about education. What do you feel like is one area that you just love to oogle about?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like more like it's not just education. It's my personality is like I love creating. Like that's my thing is like creation versus consumption. I'm always thinking like, what can I create? And that's really what brings me a ton of happiness. So whether I'm creating a media literacy slideshow, whether I'm creating a gift for somebody, whether I'm creating, I don't know, like a PD for a group of teachers, I think I just love the idea of creating. And I love sharing the idea, my passion of creating with my students. Like it was kind of crazy at one point when I was back teaching grade 8. I had some, at the time they would do like computers on rotary, and I had the whole school using Adobe Photoshop. And people are like, how are these kids using Photoshop? And not just like dropping a face on a thing. Like I had them designing infographics before we had all these like pre-made infographic things that can do it better than I can. But we were going in there and learning these like really cool tools. But I was always talking to my kids about the idea of like creation versus consumption, and just going out there and doing that. And part of it is like the understanding of that's really what makes me happy. So why not bring that into the classroom? That's part of my personality. I think that's why I wrote a book. I've designed lesson plans for like Terry Fox organization. I've done these things, but when I look back at it, I'm just constantly looking for what amazing cool things can I create, and I like to do things that are different. I don't always want to just video edit or Photoshop. Like that's why I think I switched to writing the book. So yeah, I think for me, like I get the most amount of like feel goods when I'm creating something new and trying to be innovative and pushing it forward. I have a really interesting thing. Like I don't know if you guys use rubrics in like in where you guys are, but they had like level 1, 2, 3, and 4. That was big when we were doing. So me and my best friend, who's a amazing guy, we say level 4 almost every time we talk. And level 4, when you look at the curriculum, it's like how do you go above and beyond the expectations in the curriculum? So we don't use it in the curriculum sense. We say level 4 is an internal thing. Like how do I go above and beyond my own expectations of myself? So when I'm creating a slideshow, I'm not just trying to create it. I'm trying to one up myself from the last time, and it just leads to constant growth, right? So I'm always looking for those level 4 situations, and I find by creating I get lots of opportunities to do that.
I love the opportunity that we have this morning that you've provided us to not just talk about the pieces we love that are objects or the pieces we love that are moments, but really it's a verb, right? I can relate that to not only education, I can relate to that to so many elements of my life. And I don't know that I typically go that direction when I think of things that I love in education. I think I do go to a more concrete definition. And I think your approach in identifying creativity as something you love is a beautiful opportunity we have this morning to say, hey, what do I love and how can I trickle that into multiple facets of my life? Because now I can identify a verb and action that I can do frequently to add more things I love to my day. What an interesting perspective.
Yeah, you know, it really, someone summed it up once to me, and I didn't even really think of it this way, but like if you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about like goal setting, and he says, well, everyone has a goal, right? So in Olympics, everyone has the same goal to win the gold medal. And then he talks about, but it's the systems, it's how they get there, it's what they do daily, the routines, the habits, it's all that built in. But where he got really powerful on me was this part. He takes it one step further, is that it's the identity. So he uses the idea of like a marathon runner has a goal of running a marathon or a time that they have a routine, but the identity is not, I want to run a marathon. It's I'm a runner. Right. And so my identity is I'm a creator. One of my best friends I work with every day, when you talk to him, he's a maker. He calls himself a maker. And when you see it as part of your identity and built into the fabric of who you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could switch me in any job, any career, any situation, and I'm going to go back to that creative aspect of, because it's built into my identity. So I think sometimes we get caught up in you know, when you look at Simon Sinek's like the why, how, and what's, we get in education so what focused. I think, you know, going back to like the identity is a really interesting one, and figuring out what your identity is and how you can weave that into everything you do. I think it leads to good things, because you know I think it's authentic and kids can really feel that you care about what you're talking about and bringing to them.
Oh, so important. Rob, I love our discussion so far. I want to give a shout out to all of us that are popping in this morning, that are probably watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or LinkedIn. Even if you're watching this after the fact, maybe listening on Teach Better Talk podcast, I want to encourage you all to share what you are listening to. Rob has so much to share, and I love that you are choosing to be an active part of our community. But we also want to continue to bring new faces and new members of our community, expose them to not only the Teach Better content, but to these incredible guests that are sharing so many different perspectives for us. So wherever you're listening right now, or maybe if you have a different platform that you love to share educational content on, head over there really quick and share this feed, because it's going to make sure that we reach as many educators as possible. And how powerful would it be for us to be able to influence their morning by positively impacting their mindset for the day? You know, Rob, one thing that you have mentioned consistently is your passion for this word, this happiness word. Tell me a little bit about where that came from.
It came from a really dark spot. Actually, it sounds kind of crazy. I was struggling Like, I think a lot of people are struggling, especially now, but like there was a point where I was really struggling and I was ready to leave the profession. And I was one signature away for going to an ed tech company that was interested in hiring me. And it took a really lot of soul searching to figure out what was going on and why it was happening. And if I don't want to, I don't like to get into details because I realize the details are irrelevant, to be honest, at this point. But something had happened to me that put me in a really negative mind space, and I started to create what I would refer to as like a really negative reality. So I was focused solely on the negatives. And then I read a book. My wife came home because she was watching this and she was like 3, 4 months. She was done with me. She was just like, I was talking about leaving my job. And she gave me a book by Sean Acor called Before Happiness. And in it, he talks about how reality is subjective. And I never really thought of it like that. I never really thought, like, what do you mean? Like, how could it be subjective? The reality is this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And he says, happy and successful people can see multiple realities of the same situation, and they choose the one that's going to have the most positive outcome. So, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing because I'm a big, huge guy, but I'll tell you a story. I read that. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning. I looked out my back window. My eyes just filled with tears, and I was just a mess. And this flush of gratitude felt like it just poured through my whole system. And because for months I couldn't see the people that I'd been affecting, the relationships that I'd been forming, the things that I'd been doing, and I had all these great things going on, but I was solely focused on this one negative aspect, and then trying to find other things to support that negative aspect, and it put me in a hole. And at that moment, I woke up and life's been totally different. That's actually what led to me writing the book, is because I started to realize that it's what we choose to focus on. It's and it's and like we talked about earlier, it's taking that power back and taking that control back and saying, listen, I can control this. I can control my destiny. And literally, I started just going back to what I used to love. I simplified my life. I went back and installed all sorts of habits that would make me happier. And I know there's all this thing about happiness and joy. To me, it's all semantics. I was just like, I just want to wake up and feel good and be excited in this profession. I wrote on the cover of my book, the most powerful things a teacher loves to come to school every day. And I totally believe that. I think like when I'm at my best, I'm feeling good and I'm loving life. And, I have a lot of control over that. And, there's times where I don't feel good and that's okay. I think part of it is like, if I was to tell you to read any book during the pandemic, it would be Peaks and Valleys by Spencer Johnson. It is a mind blowing read. He wrote Who Moved My Cheese, which sold like 30 million copies on Amazon. So he's a big time writer, but he writes this fable about like, and one of the things I took away from it is that everyone goes through peaks and valleys. So sometimes when we're in a valley, we don't understand it. It doesn't seem fair, but it's just part of life. I talked to my daughter a couple of days ago and I said, there was some stuff going on. And I said, this is just a valley. Susan Daly calls it a season. And she said, these are just seasons. They pass, right? So we just do whatever we can. And the better we are able to do things like practice gratitude or exercise or and work on how we're seeing things and choosing those realities, the quicker we get out of it. But we will get out of it. It's just, we just need to maintain a positive mindset as best as possible. And we need to accept those times are tough and they'll end and we'll get back to good times. And so that's what I try to think all the time.
Yeah, I think so many members of our Teach Better community have found themselves in those seasons, right? In those valleys where we're really in a negative headspace or we're struggling. I know sometimes this is a big moment that happens in life. Maybe it's sparked by a big event, but a lot of educators I've even spoken to have come forward and said, it's not that this is a big event. It's felt like it's never ending. I'm losing hope. I feel like I've been in this valley for so long. On the show here, we love to provide tactical and strategic takeaways, right? What's something that somebody can physically go do, or we can challenge them to go consider that they can start their journey towards a solution. I know there's so many different approaches to this, but any specific, suggestion that you have to somebody who might be nodding their head, listening to you and saying, yeah,
Sure.
I think I'm in a season, but what happens? Do I just like hang on tight and I'm going to get through it? Is there something that I can begin to do? As you mentioned, simplifying your life. I know there's a lot of steps that people do when they're going through struggles.
Yeah, I'll give you the one. So when I wrote my book, it took me quite a while. I wrote a book on motivation and education in like 4 months, and I almost lost my wife, and like because she was so angry, because I was just consumed with it. And then when I decided I wrote it on the wrong topic, I never published it. I was like, I'm going to write this book on happiness, but I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to research it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to figure out everything I need to do. But one thing I did when I was on the Strive is actually an acronym for students, team, routines, innovation versus viability, and extraordinary, right? So the routines section is really long, and I was just like I'm gonna live out each part of it. So like when say for instance I was talking about gratitude, I'm gonna live it. I'm gonna read everything I can on gratitude. I'm gonna practice everything I can. I'm gonna do everything I can. And I've been asked this question before, like, what's the number one thing you came out with writing the book? And it's not that there's so much thinking, but like the thing that came out was when I was writing the gratitude chapter, I was trying to practice gratitude daily, different ways. Like I was like journaling notes, like things like on my phone, like with like the note section. And then I discovered a gratitude app called Happy Feed. So
Mm.
Happy Feed is it's this app, and it basically says, tell me three things you're grateful for every day, and you can add a photo to it. I discovered it, and I'll tell you, I know for sure, I discovered it 1,114 days ago because I used it that day, and I haven't stopped. And I'll tell you the most poignant story, and what I learned about this gratitude and getting through tough times is one time I had my first ever really successful large presentation where I was like the focus or whatever, and I was on a cloud, right? I was like, you get that feeling and like everything's going great. And I get a call from my dad. He's like, your mom's in hospital. She's in real bad shape. And I was just like, and so I get to the hospital, and she's in like terminal shape at this time. They're telling us she's fortunately still with us. It ended up U-turning a bit, but I was a mess, like a complete mess. Like I'm a mommy's boy through and through. And so I go to I'm in the hospital, and my friend comes down, and they're trying to console me because I don't know. They're telling me like she doesn't have long to live or whatever. And I remember my personality when I'm upset is I shut down. I just want to bury myself somewhere. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. So I went home, and I was going into that pattern. I knew I was. I could feel myself shutting down, and it was about 10 at night, 'cause this is when it would have happened. 10 at night time, I get a notification on my phone. And when I heard it, I was annoyed. Like I was just like, I don't want to talk to anybody, like, because that's my personality when I'm upset. And it said, Happy Feed, what are you grateful for? And I
Mm.
was just like, what do you mean? What am I grateful for? I just found out my mom's going to pass away. And I filled it out that night. And, I talked about the nurses, and I talked about my friend coming down from Toronto. And I talked about like my mom's sense of humor and the way she handles things, and is still, and even in that situation, she's still trying to make other people laugh and feel okay. And I remember saying to myself, if I can fill this out on the worst day of my life, like it was easily the worst day of my life, I should be filling it out all the time. And when we talk about like feeling that it gets better, like I think when we think about when we're in situations like this and it's troublesome, where do we go to? Do we go to social media and read all these negative things about COVID, and get and watch news and just see the world like it feels like it's crumbling? Or do we do something positive? And for me, if you see me in a hospital room, or I have an injury right now, and you see me on my phone, if you look at my phone, you know what I'm doing? I'm going through my gratitude journal. It's got
Mm.
this really neat feature on it where it's got a little jar, and you shake your phone. You don't have to shake it 'cause you look like an idiot, but you can tap it as well. And it kicks you out of memory of from one of those 1111 days. So I'll just sit there when I'm feeling like things aren't going my way, and I'll be like, oh, I remember that time. I remember that time. And seeing all those good times and capturing all those good times gives you the feeling that those good times are coming. But I think gratitude, when practiced when things are the worst, is the most powerful, because that's the time we're not able to see it, right? But if we stop, I love the fact that there's a notification. I said everyone should try Happy Feed. It's so good. I've told people about Happy Feed, and they'll post on Twitter. It's been like 900 days or 800 days or 600 days. And it's one of those things like, how do you build not just happiness, but how do you build healthy routines into every single day? And, I think we need to start thinking about how do we use our devices? How do we use media? How do we use these things to enhance our lives, not just to consume content all the time?
Rob, you've provided so many components for us to reflect on, but I know so many people in the comments already are commenting about how they want to go check out that app. I think that's exactly what we were looking for is we love talking about big picture ideas and mindsets and philosophies, but when we can get into those, actionable strategies to say, if you want to get started in possessing this mindset long term, if you want to get started in changing the work that you're doing and being a little bit better today than you were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than you were today, here's truly an action step that you can take. And you just provided us one. I'm so excited for so many people in our community to go check out this app because I mean, there's no benefit that you and I get out of, endorsing this app, but
Nothing, zero.
but it's something that is truly actionable that we can now take steps towards being a part of a solution. And I love that Natalie's commenting this morning. Great conversation this morning. I really needed this, and so many of us did. Rob, we typically transition at the end of our show to sharing good news, celebrating holidays, kind of everything in between. But before we do that, I'd love to challenge you to share with us like your soapbox call to action. If there was only one thing that somebody was going to take away from our conversation, I hope there's not one thing because you've shared a lot so far, but if somebody was just popping in for these 30 seconds, what would you want them to ensure that they heard from you?
I think my overall message and how I end the book is that you deserve to be happy. And you deserve to be happy in general, but you just definitely deserve to be happy in education. I feel that what we do is like a caring profession is so challenging and it's so emotionally draining, and the planning and the complexities of everything we deal with, and we go to school every day, and we deserve to be happy in education, and we deserve to love our jobs, and we deserve to be in a state where we're the best version of ourselves for our students. So I think when we talk about happiness, I think my message is that you deserve it, and you deserve to put energy towards that. And sometimes that may mean saying no to something, or may mean pulling back in certain ways on certain things. Do an inventory of like your life and say, I don't have time for that. Well, you can make time for it. You just got to do that inventory and say no more and yes to yourself. And I don't just mean like it's not I think sometimes when we say like self-care and we say like pull back, it's like just don't do anything. I think that's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying pull back from certain things, but then invest in other things. Invest more in your passions, invest more in your routines, invest in your health, your exercise, your eating, all these things. It's not just a passive state. We are the best versions of ourselves is when we're active and we're passionate about what we're doing. So just yeah, you deserve it. Just I believe every educator does based on the job we do. So go get it and do that for yourself.
Such a valuable reminder. We'll be right back. Good morning. Thank you for those of you that have chosen to join our daily drop-in morning show. Rob is on fire and we are having a great conversation. There's already so many comments coming in about all the ideas that you're sharing, but especially the app that you were discussing being a really big positive impact on your day-to-day practices, which I think is just such a wonderful opportunity. And Rob, something I love that you mentioned that this app also provides you with those memories when you need a little boost. I think that's such a powerful opportunity here. We have some people wanting to confirm what that app was called. Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, it's Happy Feed, like FEED. Yeah, we can post the link somewhere maybe. And
Yep, we'll make sure to share it with all of you. And of course, you can reach out to Rob or I or anyone else on the Teach Better team to get those resources as well. We are here to be solution partners in whatever you're exploring. So Rob, I really appreciate it.
And if I could just ask a favor, what I love, one of my favorite things is when like people start using Happy Feed and hit milestones like a month or 100 days, like tag us in it. Like I love knowing that, like I love knowing that doing this is doing something, right? So when as someone who like puts out some ideas. And I know you would feel the same if, 100 days from now, someone tags you and say, hey, thanks for the daily drop in. I'm still using Happy Feed. Because I'm sure if you start using it and find the time of day to use it. I have another idea with that too, though, is using it with your class. So even if you're not using it personally, having a class one, and at the end of each day, either doing it yourself and then sharing it with the kids in terms of a way to recognize them and make them excited, or do it as a class. Say, hey, what's our 3 things today, and put it in that app. And then at any point, maybe on a Friday, you go hit the jar 3 times, and it will bring back memories up. So if I had a class right now, like, I would be using Happy Feed with them as well.
I'm just saying, Brad Hughes is in the comments. And Brad, I don't want to, speak out of turn here, but maybe we need to have a Happy Feed section of Daily Drop-In where our guest tells us what they're grateful for. I think that we could get a whole curation of all these wonderful things.
Oh yeah, that'd be so good. That'd be
I
so
love it.
good.
Well, I'm excited to anytime you tell Brad Hughes an idea, he runs with it like full force.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
just
love
gonna
that.
like lob that in here, and then I'm live with him tomorrow to wrap up our week on Friday. So I have a feeling there's a deeper conversation here that will be happening in the Teach Better community. But I'm excited. There's a lot of people saying that they're downloading the app already. And Rob, again, this is what it's all about. It's not about trying to sell a product to somebody or trying to say, hey, you do this one thing and you're set for life, but this mindset of what can we do to remind ourselves of the moments that are so valuable. And I really appreciate that you're providing us not only this top level approach to carrying ourselves well and being successful, but again, something tangible that we have control over is such a valuable suggestion. So I really do appreciate that so far on the show.
Yeah, no problem. That's what the book's about, right? Like, so I wrote the book from like things like that, or that's what I do throughout the whole book. But then I tie them into like being an educator, not just like generically, right? So they're like everything you do, like I'm talking about, is tied into that. Because when I was writing the book, I asked some people, like really good friends of mine. They said, you need to tell people how to be happy. And at first, I resisted that. I said, you can't tell people. There's no formula to being happy. If you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to be happy. I didn't believe that. And then, then I thought about it, and I was like, but they need somewhere to start and things to try. Like when you read the chapters in my book, I don't do all of them. I don't, but they work for people because I get them from people that say they work, and we have conversations. It's not that I do everything in the book. I find I call it a prescription of what works for me. So the Happy Feed really works for me. But you might try Happy Feed and then go, man, I'm better in a book because I like to write it down. I don't know. It's just the idea of, are you going to practice gratitude daily? I think that's the key to it, right? So yeah, that was the intended goal, was to just give people tons of ideas on how to implement more happiness into the profession.
Well, and there's been a lot of comments so far, which we really appreciate, everybody choosing to be an active participant versus only being a consumer. But I think that's the question of the day, Rob, is asking everyone, will you choose to participate in gratitude practices? And we want to hear from you. So use an emoji or use, a quick phrase. Let us know what you're thinking this morning as we're getting started. The Daily Drop-In Morning Show, for so many of you that have been active since the very beginning, was created, Rob, out of necessity. It was created in the middle of March as COVID was affecting the US and Canada. And we were trying to find a way to be a part of the solution for a problem that nobody could predict. And our mindset was, the only thing we can offer is being accessible so that nobody
Exactly.
feels alone, and that nobody during any point in receiving information feels like they don't have a brainstorm partner. And Rob, I think that your mindset and reminders this morning have been so in line with what Daily Drop-In is so committed to, is as you start your day or as you conclude your day, as you're catching the show after the fact, how can we be a part of your day? And are you going to choose to be active in our experience? And gratitude is a big part of that. So thank you for bringing that to us. We have a lot of holidays that I'm grateful for, and I think we should discuss some goofy holidays. Are you ready to celebrate with us?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. What do we
All
got?
right. I will say it is Thursday, February 10th. And for any of you who are trying to start your own holiday, my recommendation is that today is your day, because there's only 2 holidays today. And so many of you that listen to the show, as I go through these every morning, there's sometimes like 22 holidays. Like everybody has selected the same day to celebrate. Today is a day. So if you have always had a holiday that you want to send to whoever decides the holidays, this is the day that I would pick. February 10th is your day. It is National Cream Cheese Brownie Day. So for those of you who are looking for a sweet treat, this evening. Cream cheese brownies to me are like some of the best brownies because it's a brownie, but the cream cheese makes it really soft and delicious. I think that you need to go get one today, Rob.
I got to go find one. If my wife hears us talking about this, she'll send me. She'll send me to go get one. So yeah, I got to go find one. I don't know where I'll get one, but good. Might be a good Valentine's Day gift.
See, that would be a good one.
I'm always searching for something
Yeah.
last minute. So
And these are like beautiful marbling because the cream cheese is obviously that white color with the brown brownie. So there's some like beauty to these brownies as well. So as everyone's going throughout your day, go find a cream cheese brownie. I don't know where you get one, but I'm going to suggest that you just Google it. Go hunt it down in your community and go find one.
yeah, I have an awesome 12-year-old daughter. I'll see if she'll make it for us.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect. Yes.
yeah.
I'll give you my
Creation
address so she can mail it to me. That'd be great.
sounds good.
It's also World Umbrella Day, embracing umbrellas. It says here, as part of many cultures since ancient times, umbrellas have storied history worthy commemoration. So if you are an umbrella fan or want to bring some culture into your classroom today, maybe we should be talking about umbrellas. I think that could be something worth diving into later this afternoon.
Yeah, I see a great STEM activity off of that too, right? Like creating umbrellas. There's so much mechanical stuff that goes on with an umbrella. So it'd be kind of cool to delve down that and have kids try and make them with different products, I think would be awesome.
I love that. No, it's so valuable. See, look at these ideas. For our
Yeah.
good news story of today, this was an article that I saw 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times over the last few days. And it actually didn't even occur to me to bring this to the show, even though it was such a good feel-good story. It finally came across it again this morning, and I was like, all right, this is a sign. We got to talk about this. For those of you who have not seen, and these are articles everywhere, so you can definitely go search and dive in deeper. There's an 8-year-old boy that wrote a handwritten book and actually went to the library and put it on the shelf. And long story short, there's now a waiting list for people to check out his book. Rob, did you see this story?
No, give me the shivers just now. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's so cute. So it's an 8-year-old boy. He's a second grader named Dylan. And he, a little bit mischievously, took his book and slipped it into a library. It's 81 pages long. It's self-illustrated. And of course, now it's being called a masterpiece. As Dylan, just a regular person at the library, was visiting, he took his copy and decided to put it on the shelf. He thought that this would be a really good opportunity to get his book published, is what he wanted. He wanted to get this book out there. He says, I've been waiting to put this book in the library since I was 5, he told the news. And so as he was putting his book up on the shelves, the library was explaining, that's not necessarily how this works, but thank you so much. And the discussion was, if he could get enough people that were interested in checking out the book, then the library was willing to keep it. There are now over 200 people that are on the waiting list to check out this book of this young boy. And we are celebrating that not only the library is creating a great opportunity for the student, but that the student was excited enough about the work he was doing to share it with his community. So definitely a feel-good story, and definitely an opportunity to bring that to our students and brainstorm a little bit.
Yeah, that is an amazing story. Good for that kid, eh?
So fun,
And
so
good, and
fun.
good for the library for coming up with a creative way of like drawing interest in that. And then I would love to see a publishing company come in and just say, we'll take that and we'll turn it into something.
I have to
I
say,
should
Rob,
even,
it's got to happen, because I saw this article truly like last week or 2 weeks ago all over the place. And so I guess I'm surprised. I bet there's a good follow-up.
I even wonder if like within our community, if we know someone that like I laid out my own book, I created my own cover and everything like that as part of what I was doing. Like, I wonder if there's some community members, like not within even this community or even my community, that would, even if it's not professionally done, we could lay it out and get a copy for the student.
Oh, absolutely.
Might be a good challenge, right?
Oh, I love it, Rob. Between your expertise in publishing books and our network that I know has published so many education books, this definitely seems like an opportunity for us to support it. So go check out that story. And if you can get involved, or if you see a way for Teach Better or Rob to get involved, please reach out and let us know. We'd love to go look into it. Rob, I do want to make sure at the very end of our show here that we have you share how people can get connected to you. I know you're so many different places, especially on social media, but you've shared so much expertise and advice, and our network is always looking to grow. We have a mindset that we need to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday, and a little bit better tomorrow than we were today. And a great way to be a part of that mindset is to continuously surround yourself with new people and new perspectives. So will you tell us how we can stay connected?
Yeah, I'm mainly on Twitter. I just try and regulate how much social media I'm using. So I'm on Twitter and Facebook a bit at Rob Dunlop edu. I have a website called Motivated You. So it's
Mhm.
Motivate edu at the end. And you should check that website out. I think there's some neat stuff. I created a staff wellness program last year, and it's all free. It's just like Happy Feed's one of them, all these ideas, but they're really visual videos that are embedded with research. And so if you haven't read the book or you don't love reading, then you can capture some of the main ideas in there. But my favorite part of my website, if you haven't checked it out, is I have this inspirational video section. And
Mhm.
so I collect all these inspirational videos within education. And when you're having a rough day, I believe that like we need to replace negative media with positive media. So part of my idea is to curate that for people. So spend a couple minutes in there, but you can, yeah, you can find me on there too. I think you can get me through email. So yeah, it's just Rob Dunlop edu, and then you'll find me.
Oh, so valuable, Rob. I so appreciate you joining the show. I'm excited to add your book to my bookshelf. It sounds like an incredible piece, and I can't wait to go check it out. I
Well,
do want
send me your information. I'll sign one and send it off to you today.
I would be honored. That would be wonderful. I do want to give a shout out to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for starting your morning with us. I want to encourage you to go check out Rob's work and all that he continues to do. Rob, I'm such a fan, such an advocate, especially after our conversation. And I just am so excited to continue our collaboration and for our community to continue connecting with you. So thank you so much for joining the show.
My pleasure. I've been a fan of Teach Better for a long time, and I really appreciate everything you guys do. So thank you very
Mhm.
much for having me on here. It's been such a pleasure. Great way
Oh,
to start my day.
yes, for everyone. We hope that you have a wonderful Thursday. I just have a feeling, friends. I know I say this quite frequently, but today is Thursday, February 10th, and we have the opportunity to do so much today. So as you are getting your mindset ready, maybe sipping on your last sip of coffee, we hope that you have an absolutely wonderful day. And if there's any way for Rob and I to better your day, please let us know because we want it to be spectacular. We will see you again tomorrow morning with the one and only Brad Hughes joining the show to wrap up the week. And we will see you later. Bye, friends.